This is one of the coolest discoveries I've ever made. But what's the real truth about it? Ever since I originally found it, I always wondered, was it just for water or something else? Well, you're invited to come along with me to see if we can answer some of those questions. But first, we're going to try to find another culvert that I visited several years ago and hopefully get inside of that one first. This is more like a needle in a haystack, so bear with me. If I find it, we'll pick up there. Well, believe it or not, I actually found it. Here it is. Just how I remember it. This is one of my earlier culvert explorers, and I found it accidentally, I think even before my YouTube days. But I have done a video on this. We took it all the way to the end, but it's been several years since I've been here, so now that I have a different camera, I could give you a different perspective. I'm not going to go all the way, we'll go maybe halfway. I do have a couple different options for giving you some unique first-person views and just seeing this differently than you've ever seen it before. So let's head on in and check it out. All right, so I have illumination above me so you can see me, and a flashlight to throw a pretty far torch. So let's get moving. So right in here is the cave crickets. So we're just gonna bypass right through it. That way we don't get jumped on again. Okay, I may have to rethink this. So this is Cave Cricket City. This pipe is littered with hundreds, if not thousands, of cave crickets. And not that I'm afraid of them, but I really don't feel like dealing with them jumping on me. And it's not just one or two, it's hundreds. But I can see all the way through. There's some buildup back there. Another chamber area with a manhole cover. But without a doubt, I would have to come through here with a hoodie so they don't go down my shirt. But that big guy right there is like the ringleader. And just listen to the echo. Hey! Yeah. So honestly, I don't think we should proceed. That was short-lived. We're gonna turn you guys around here and head right back out where we came from. Yeah, it's too many of them, not worth it to me. So, with that being said, that's our most recent updated look. If you guys do want to see a more full, thorough look, especially using this camera, hopefully it kind of came out okay with the lighting and everything, let me know down below. It's kind of featureless. It doesn't really do anything except pinch out at the end, but it's just a more modern day culvert that spills out into the river here. And one of my earlier ones, one of my first ones I've ever documented, excuse me, and have made a video on. So it has a special meaning to me, but today's not the day to go through it. We are back at our original location. Before we head down there, I just wanted to give you a view topside. Obviously rode my bike here, and this is basically right above it. And it's a dead giveaway of its location is finding this. This is actually made out of railroad tracks. They're just basically cut, welded, and placed here. And down there, obviously, is our culvert chamber. You can also see too where runoff comes along the tracks here, makes its way down and drops in right down there. And it's at a curve, as we already saw. There's also evidence of a telegraph pole possibly right here. There's some ties that have been here for a long time as well. They're rotted out. You can see even the hole where the spikes went through. And this is kind of looking down into it from here. It's a really fascinating structure. It's incredibly old from what I could tell, and it's holding up incredibly well. But one big difference I noticed is from the last previous visits here, it's always been primarily the same as far as what was in front of it, what was behind it. Well, I could tell you that changed drastically. And it's based on to that severe storm that we had a few weeks ago where we got 4 inches of rain in 1 hour's time. It washed through an unbelievable amount of debris and material right through the culvert, and the other side is almost unrecognizable from how it used to be. Once we do get over to that point, I will show you some before and afters from my previous visits to today. You can see how much has changed. Unfortunately, today's view is not going to offer us the best results for piecing together what this could have been. Although it's functioning for water today, there's still a small doubt in my mind that this could have been used for something else. Let's get down there. We'll talk more about it. Now here's looking where the water would come from. You can see it's basically a lot of rocks and boulders here. This comes from behind a development and shopping plaza area. So this is going to be stormwater runoff that makes its way down here. At this point though, at some point they did put concrete down for erosion control. So the water can have a free flowing path and it's not going to make a bigger trench here. So they did the sides here, and then it comes right down into like a funnel shape. Drops off like a little bit of a waterfall that would be here. And then it makes its way over a big debris pile. Now here's where the old stonework does begin. You can see it is relatively one level, but the ground is dropping off. So that's going to make it look a little bit different as far as size. And then on the left-hand side, we have the wall starting here. I also did bring some stuff with me. We're going to do something that I've done once before here on an older previous visit. We're going to not recreate it, but have another take at it this time. So we'll do that a little bit later. I had to do some damage control with the bug spray. They're starting to follow me here. So now we're down here below the lip, which would be an essential waterfall when it is flowing. And you can see underneath it, it's a little bit carved out. They have some of that erosion control material. It's like a big black mat, shape of a tube. You usually see them along construction sites to kind of catch debris or liquids. That's what's underneath it. Doesn't go in far at all. But I think we found a toy. Found a red ball. I wonder if Pennywise is down here. Rather strange place to find it. Now this is the worst of it here. Obviously there's been a subsidence and a cave-in. And unless something's done, it's only going to get worse over time. You can see this is fractured here. It's eventually going to just keep breaking off in chunks from erosion and freeze-thaw cycles. But it does give us a glimpse on the inside here. Here's a nice chunk of coal. Nice piece of anthracite. We'll put that there as a keepsake. Nice and shimmery. A lot of roots down here as well. It's roughly 6 feet below the ground above it. And here is a big buildup of material. Now, there's always been material in this area, but there's more now than there's ever been. Usually the ground is several feet lower, so we're not able to see the true bottom here. But as you see my previous videos and what I'll show you, it did look a bit different, a bit lower. And there's a nice cool breeze coming out of here, which feels fantastic. Now look up on top, you can see where the rail is there. We were standing up there before. This is looking back. Now we're down to my level here. And there's a little stoop right here on both sides. I think one of them had a bird's nest, if I remember correctly, my one visit. They're like little shelves. But that water that we saw coming down along the tracks does flow right down there and into that hole there and then spills over. But the arch here is phenomenal. The main structure of this looks like it's holding up quite well. I guess the only thing left to do now is to take a walk through. Also to point out too, the ground or the floor is lined with stone. And it kind of makes like little riffles. It's not completely smooth, so the water slows down as it's going through here. But for how old this is, which I'm guessing 1800s, it's holding up quite well. Couple small cave crickets and spiders, and oh, there was a big guy there. He just crawled in to the crevice. He's right in there. So they're here, but not like the last one. But I do remember them from last time. So there is a rod protruding out right there. No idea what that could be for, but it is worth noting. And based on the size of it, if you can see with me walking through it here, you know, it's a good sized tunnel. Why would it need to be this big just for water? The amount of water that does come down here is not significant, except for the exceptions like that storm we had with 4 inches in an hour. Obviously water was probably several feet up through here. But most cases, normal day scenario weather, it'd only be coming through a few inches of water on the ground. And I have been through here when water's flowing. But I do have a few thoughts, and I've shared them before, but now that I have a larger audience than last time, I do want to share it with those who are watching this video today, because it may shed some light on a possibility of what this could have been. And as we exit, you can see now I'm not as close. I should say I'm not as far away from the top. That's because the ground is rising up. Out here is the biggest change of them all because, well, it's hard to explain. Let me show you some before footage and I'll bring you back showing you what it looks like today. But this is the Lackawanna River. Flows south, meets up with the Susquehanna River. But this is really, really low. I don't think I've ever seen it this low before. And looking back, that's where we were just having lunch. So here's another post right here like we saw over there. So there's little clues like this that are in here that lead me to believe this could have been used for something else back in the day. So let me lay out a few facts for you and share what I think potentially this could have been used for. We already know railroad tracks are up on top here. They're not used for regular freight service. It's a holding line. The DL, which is Delaware Lackawanna, does hold freight cars on there frequently. Now back in the day, that wasn't the case. It was a branch line that trains traveled on probably daily. So this is a passageway coming underneath the rails. Also, based on the previous footage that you've seen of how this used to look, the water from the Lackawanna River behind you guys was basically right up to here. Before this plug up of material is here, it wasn't uncommon to see river water right at the edge here. And for me to be able to get out here, I had to go from stone to stone to stay out of the water. Really wet seasons, water could be right up to the edge here from the river. But obviously today, that's not the case. With the water access being right here though, and more or less a canal channel coming from this chamber to the river. I do have suspicion that this could have been used for something else back in the day. Modern day, we already know it's for water control, water management coming through here from where we set up above the shopping plaza and development. But going back earlier days, when I say earlier days, I'm thinking early 1900s, maybe even earlier. I'm thinking this maybe could have been a human passage. And when I say human passage, a passage for people, but I'm just using that terminology. Now, the river though, that's where my thoughts get conflicted, because the Lackawanna River is not a huge river. And when I say that, I mean it's not really wide, it's not really deep. That river does flow into the Susquehanna, which like that is wide and deep in many areas and can actually handle boats. As far as I know, most areas I've seen, the Lackawanna River is pretty narrow and shallow, can handle boats. I don't know if it's been like that for a long, long time or forever, or if maybe back in the day the river was maybe deeper. But what I'm getting at is that there's a small possibility that the Lackawanna River and this inlet here could be used for boats. And when I say boats, I don't mean like freighters or cargo ships or anything like that. I mean like little canoes or paddle boats, little personal boats, or little tiny multi-people boats. Something that wouldn't require a lot of depth of water. So back in the day, people could have came down here under the rails, been down here nearly at river level, and be able to launch their boat or get picked up in a boat and get transported somewhere else. The likelihood of that, I would say, is less than 50%, but I'm not going to rule it out because, well, all the clues around here do kind of point that that is a small possibility. If that's not the case, I honestly don't know why this would be the way it is just for water control, water management, because we know it's by far more than large enough for a man to walk through. Prior to them putting that concrete floor back there, the ground would have looked different. And with active train use back in the day, this would be a safe way to come down to the river. Now, if it wasn't for boating, one other small alternative is maybe something was being done down here to work with water, like a mill area or coming down to harness water. And this still could have been used for people as a human passage. So there are a couple of different things that could be. Boating, I think, is possibly one. A mill area, maybe. I'm not certain, but I can't rule it out either. But based on how this used to look, I would think that there is likelihood that something could have been going on down here more than just this being built for water. Now, I will be completely honest. If I came down here today for the very first time, I would never know about how this used to look. I would think, okay, this is all it is. Just goes out to the river, not knowing that it's actually deeper under here. And the river water at one time did come right up to here. So that's my thought and theory, that this could have been used for people back in the day as a human passage, because we already know it's built bigger than it needs to be, I would say. And with little clues like this, metal rods coming out, what else was going through here? I've been in dozens upon dozens of culverts. The only time I've seen stuff like this is usually where lighting or electricity is involved. And that's typically down in the old underground mines. Here though, I haven't the slightest idea why those would be down here. Or even those shelves on the corners. Looks like they could have even like light posts, like gas lanterns there. Who knows? I'm just putting out a lot of different scenarios, possible situations that could have been going on down here. But obviously I want to hear your thoughts and theories. Beyond what I explained, I don't know much else about it. There's no dates on it. And today it's just for water control. And with how this is, hopefully this will be dealt with in the future, because if not, if we were to get any more of those big mega storms that dump a lot of water all at once, this is going to get plugged up pretty high where water won't even be able to make it out of here. It'll just be sitting stagnant in here and will cause more deterioration. So there's a lot of work to clear this material out, and it traveled down an embankment to come here and just sitting now at the edge of the river. So with that being said, let's get to the other side and do something that I haven't done here in quite a few years. On my way back out, look what I found. Washed down rusted railroad spike. It's not a very old one, but it has been dealt with water for a good bit of time. Pretty corroded. I think that's going to be a Gary Drayton top pocket find.
Is that top pocket? This is a top pocket find, mate, for sure.
Out of all my visits here, one time I did do something a little bit different. I did it on the other end. Since it's plugged up, built up a material, not how it used to be, well, we have to choose another location. And it's gonna be right here. Yes, we are gonna have some food here. I did do it once before, and it was a lot of fun. Great location for it. So I figured why not kind of replicate that today. And we'll make up some Mountain House beef stroganoff with noodles. So I got my burner in here, the fuel, the pot, water, and got some cold drinks with me, trash bag, and some dude wipes. Now I have been asked before, why do I have this cooking stuff, which is essentially camp gear, if I don't go camping? Well, for situations and locations like this, I typically bring these meals and this equipment on long rail trail bike rides, especially when I do the Lehigh Gorge bike train. I always bring one of these meals, and for our lunch break, just make up something hot and delicious on the spot. And that's pretty much why I have this stuff, and pretty much the only time I use it. Okay, this calls for 1 2/3 cups of water. So I'm going to put a little bit less than that. I put it right to the 12-ounce mark, which is about an ounce less than what it's asking for. Jesus. Okay. That's not what I want. I have to have the can a certain way, or else you get that bad mix and a big flame. There we go. Now we're cooking with fire. After I put on a big fire show for you guys. I always make sure to take this out too. Wouldn't taste very good. All right, we got a pretty rapid boil right there, so we are ready to pour. At first it always looks like too much water, but once you let it thoroughly cook for the required time, if not even longer, it does absorb it all and comes out almost perfect. So, looks soupy right now. It'll look different when it's done. So we have to let that sit for 5 minutes, stir. After 5 minutes, reseal it, let it stand for another 4. So we'll do 10 minutes total. So I'll see you guys when it's complete. 2 minutes to go until we're ready to eat. And today's beverage of choice is the green lid, 0 sugar Monster Energy. Pretty much the only carbonated beverage I do drink. Just don't like the taste of soda anymore ever since having COVID. And I worked up a pretty good sweat, and obviously rode a little bit too hard. So while we're waiting, I just want to touch base on a couple things really quick. Is that obviously here, end of August, early September, summer is rapidly winding down. Only a few short weeks left, which means my content is going to be forced to change on what I'm able to film. I didn't do, I feel, a great job working down my summer list. And it was out of my control. So I'm not beating myself up for it. I'm just being honest and real. I didn't put a huge dent into it. So next year, hopefully I can get an early jump on it. Things that require getting wet, going in places where there's water and the water levels are manageable and clear. And even some places where I don't necessarily have to get wet, but have water features that are worth documenting. So this year was out of my control. Let's hope next summer is much more favorable weather, less rain, less humidity, and able to get a bigger jump on that stuff. But with that being said, I will say the locations I did do this year by far were incredible. Everything from going back to the old abandoned reservoir spillway where I snorkeled underwater there, saw the fish life and pulled a few things out of the water there. Great place to cool off. Then returned to the Blackbridge area, and for the first time ever snorkeled those waters, which were over 10 feet deep. Jumped in, had some fun, made a new friend there as well. And my most recent one in Trucksville, Pennsylvania, where I filmed the Harris Hill Bridge, which is set to be removed soon. But underneath it is a tunnel that one time trolleys came through, and I didn't even know that. But below that trolley tunnel was a pretty steep and long rock slide, about 25 feet long, pretty good pitch. Myself going down it, slammed into the bottom of a rock ledge and messed up my lower back pretty bad. I was in pain for a long time. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh. And thankfully, nothing got fractured, nothing severe happened. It was just severely bruised muscles. And from what I watched from the footage, my feet took the brunt of it, but my left foot took the brunt, and that shock wave, if you want to call it that, went all the way up my left leg to my lower left back. And although I didn't slam into anything with my lower left back, that's where everything kind of congregated and I was dealt the pain. But not that I learned my lesson. I just need to think things through maybe a little bit more. I was thinking if I was to ever do it again, I would go on a raft or a mat, or if I slid down, I could go over the top of the water instead of into the water. That way I won't slam into that rock ledge. So this year has been memorable. Mostly good, a little bit not so good. But now I think it is time to eat. Let me just check what time it is. All right, enough time has passed. We're gonna eat this. So as you can hopefully see, it is thickened up quite well. It's gonna be hot though, which it always is. So I need to still let it cool for a minute or two. But great place to have dinner, a little steamy, because I'm sitting on this man-made ledge here, which is a kind of a small spillway. But I had this view in front of me, behind you guys, of the curved, arched, possible human passageway culvert system. And here's something up on top. Might be a squirrel or something rustling around. Although I wish I could replicate the location on the other side. Mother Nature changed that. But let's get into this. So it's a nice heaping of it. Really hot, but delicious. Beef stroganoff with noodles and mushroom cream sauce. I've had it before, just as good as I remember. I'm not going to eat it all, so if you want some, by all means. Just watch you don't burn yourself. I have to say that beef stroganoff with noodles, highly recommended. I have about a quarter of it left. I couldn't finish it. Really filling though, hit the spot, and I haven't eaten since breakfast. I had a really busy day, so that really tasted probably more enjoyable than it normally is. As you can probably tell too, we're losing a little bit of daylight here. Got a late start on filming this video and have about, there's something making noise up there. About an hour, a little bit over an hour left of daylight. The red Pennywise ball. I think there's people up there. Leaving this down here, maybe it'll float down the river. Wait a minute. There's a couple kids up there. Just want to make sure they weren't going near the bike, which I could see right up on top here. So just to wrap things up, is that I'm glad we came back, we were able to check it out, and it's disappointing how it looks today. That mega storm really did a number on this place. And although it's still holding up quite well, this area here is going to get worse over time. And the big debris pile, debris field on the opposite end, well, it's not going to go away on its own. So who knows what this is going to look like in the future. But I definitely enjoyed myself coming here today, bringing you along. You may have been here before. Maybe it's your first time. But definitely share your thoughts down below. Beyond a water passage, water control system, do you or do you not think this was ever used for a human passage, as a human passageway for access to the river? Human passageway or not, I'm going to say 49% chance at one time, possibly. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hope you didn't mind hanging out, having a meal with me, as I almost burned what little hair I do have. And just seeing it in modern day here, 2025. So thanks so much for coming along. Thanks for watching. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.